Hello, and welcome to Tyra Mini Reads, Reviews, Discusses, Monologues about everything and anything, and that's on period. Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. So today I wanted to talk about two books that I just recently read that are top picks for summer. Although one of the books is kind of set in like a winterish period, but I think like the romance is it's such a comfort book that I feel like it goes, or it's, really good for any period of time. I mean, I just read it and I was so blown away. So I'm gonna be reviewing two books, and that would be out on a can't speak. Out on a limb. No, let's take it back. Out on a limb by Hannah Bonam-Young, and Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood. So let's start with this one. PSR is a book from, it's kind of like a continuation from Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood, where in Not in Love we follow Eli and Rue, their story, and then in PSR we are following Eli's younger sister Maya and his best friend Connor Harkness. So in Not in Love, they Ali kind of like alluded to the fact that she was gonna she alluded to the kind of relationship that Maya and Connor had, but not a lot that we knew what was going on. So I was super excited for this book to come out because I knew, I love Ali's books. I love her romance. I love her writing. So I was kind of excited because even from Not in Love, I was actually more interested in Maya and Hark's story. So we do finally get the book. The book is following. The setup is pretty much Eli and Rue are getting married, and so their family and friends have to go to this island in Italy for like 7 days or something like that. And so Maya is then stuck with Connor on this beautiful island for an extended period. And you can see in the cover they're like in, like a beach kind of vibe place. The colors are gorgeous, by the way. I love the whole like setup of the book. So when we do start the book, we actually we get to realize that Connor and Meyer actually met a couple of years ago, and they were actually really good friends. Like they were talking a lot. They had a very good relationship. That it wasn't a shallow relationship, or it wasn't like a insta love, like, oh, without any depth or background to it. They actually spent a lot of time on the phone getting to know each other, and so I really enjoyed that setup. I enjoyed the fact that they knew themselves, right? And I think she knew a lot about Connor to want to be in a relationship with him apart from her initial attraction to Connor. We don't really get a lot of Connor's like backstory or thinking, but you kind of get the same, like he also kind of felt the same. What I didn't like is in the book, in the 7 days or whatever, how many days they're stuck on this island, she spends that whole time pursuing Connor, which I'm like, girl, come on. Like she's basically throwing herself at him. So I felt like there are so many other ways that she could have done it. Like, cause she already knows him. This guy is literally like an emotional, unavailable person. So it's like she was trying to force a reaction, and I felt like there were better ways to go about it. But again, Maya's like maybe 23 or 28, so she's pretty young. I mean, she's not even she probably had maybe one or two boyfriends before she met Connor, so I'll give her a pass. And then the other thing was one other thing I really liked was whenever we read Not in Love, the first book, throughout the book, Ali kind of pounds on the fact that Rue is weird and awkward and socially, she's like socially, distant from people. But I guess because it's Rue's story, we don't really, like, I didn't really get that sense from that book. But in PSR, you kind of see what Ali was alluding to, where Maya is like, yeah, she kind of has this thoughts sometimes based on whatever is happening. It's like, ooh, yeah, Rue's not gonna like that. Rue just, wants to be by herself. And I thought that was really, brilliant to bring that angle in, so it gives us more depth into Rue as a person. And I think seeing her from a different perspective, a different point of view, really made me understand the way she is, or the way she was, or who she is, pretty much. So I think if you even go back and read Not in Love, maybe you will even have a finer appreciation for that book. So just wanted to say that part. But this is one of the reasons why I like Ali Hazelwood, because there's so much cohesion between her characters and her world building. It's in the little subtle things that she does, and I think she does it in a very, very fantastic way. That is, if you care about that kind of stuff. I guess I do. But okay, so another thing I liked was, I think Connor really liked Maya. Like I said, they spent a lot of time talking on the phone. So they were like friends. Well, for Maya, it was probably like a first crush, and then friends, and then very good friends, to lovers, or to like, we don't know what we're doing, but then to lovers. So I feel like it was a very healthy way to grow a relationship. That, in the sense that whenever they do say, "Oh, we're dating now," people will be like, "Oh, really?" And they can explain, "Oh, okay, that makes sense," because they've known each other and they've talked on the phone for like over a year, or it might be more than that, but pretty much they've been on the phone for a long time. So they've known each other, and I like that. I think one of the reasons that Connor was holding back was because, number one, he's emotionally unavailable. So obviously he's going to run at the first sound of commitment. Number two, Maya is his best friend's younger sister, and he had a point, he had an idea of who Maya was based on the stuff that Eli was telling him or going through with raising Maya. In Not in Love, you realize, or you find out, that they had such a difficult upbringing, or the childhood was not, it was not fun for the two of them. I guess Connor was so considerate of that part, knowing how much Eli struggled with Maya when she was younger, right? There's also the age gap where he's like, I'm super older than her. It just doesn't make sense. There's also the power imbalance where obviously he's well made, he's well to do, he's made his money, he's super rich. So that was also something where he was really like considering. So I think I understand why he spent so much time dilly dallying, and it was such a push and pull. But you could see he was a guy that was so conflicted. But I didn't like some of the things that he did. But again, I think he did it because Meyer kept pushing his buttons. Instead of her to try to figure out, why is he acting this way, or how can I make him, I guess the way she went about it didn't make sense. If you read the book, you know what I'm alluding to. I don't want to say the whole thing, but they would do something that I'm like, why are y'all doing this? You're not even together. But they would do stuff, and I'm like, okay, whatever floats your boat. And then the next day, it's like, oh, we're not even talking to each other. So I don't know, but I mean, it made for an enjoyable read because I literally finished this book in one sitting. Like, I started, and did I go to the bathroom? I don't know if I took a bathroom break, but PSR was really, really good. I definitely enjoyed this. And like I said, I enjoyed it, especially knowing all the stuff that already happened in Not in Love. So I think, it was like a full circle moment, because you get to understand and appreciate the first book more, and you also are happy because you're getting the story of Meyer and Connor. So fantastic read, summer read, flingy. I was in Italy for like a couple of hours there, but yeah. So on to the next book, which is Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonam-Young. Now, if you ask me how I found out about this author, I can't say. This is maybe midnight trawling on the internet when I'm supposed to be sleeping. But I found this book. Someone had reviewed it, and I read the synopsis, and I liked their review, first of all. And then I read the synopsis, and I was like, this sounds good. Okay. And I was like, okay, let me try it out. So I bought it on Amazon and I started reading it. And I think from even like the first chapters, I was kind of like, I was intrigued, right? So I'll just give you a background. This is a book that's a very tropey book, right? There's a lot of tropes that has been done so much. And so when you read the synopsis, you're probably not going to want to pick it up. It has a one night stand, it's an accidental pregnancy, it has people with disabilities, it has friends to lovers, it has, let me see, I think I wrote it down. Yeah, there's a forced roommates, there's the rich main character. There's a lot of things going on in this little 300 pages book, but I have to say that this is, arguably the best book I read in, well, one of the top books I read in 2025. This was a 5-star read, no doubt. PSR was not a five. I mean, even though I like consumed it, I think there was still stuff there that I was not agreeing to. So it was more like a 4.5. But this one, 10 over 10, chef's kiss. This was 100%. This was a top, top read for me. I finished the book and I was in giddy land. I was like in happy land for like hours. There was like a glow on me after I finished. I'm sorry, that sounded so funny, but okay, so let me just talk about the characters. So we follow Win and Bo. Like I said, they met in a party and there's this attraction and then they have a one night stand, right? They don't know each other from anywhere. But there was this like initial attraction between them. And so actually you find out that Win, who's the girl, she's actually like more coming on to Bo. So they have a one night stand and 12 weeks later or 6 weeks later, she finds out she's pregnant. So luckily she's able to, contact the guy because there was someone who knew the guy. And she has to tell him like, hey, I don't really know you, but yeah, you're about to be a dad. Yay. So I thought that part was so funny. But yeah, they end up, like I said, becoming forced roommates. They both, Win and Bo, have disabilities. So that's something that I haven't really read or been, maybe exposed to. So it was really nice to, get some insight. I think the author herself has a disability. And so she said she wrote the book from her, based on what she had gone through or like the emotions that she had because she has kids. And I think, at the time that she was going to give birth, this was an insecurity that was, on her mind. So I especially love, that's one of the reasons why the book has so much depth. One of the many reasons, just that's not the only reason. We follow Bo, and then we meet Bo, right, who's the dad to be. But I think even from day one, you can see how accepting of the pregnancy that he was and accepting of Win. Like there was no like, no, like there was nothing like that. He was so open and communicative, and they had banter between themselves. They like there was this initial attraction, so I think they really liked themselves, right? It was something that I guess if they built on it, they would have still ended up together. But the pregnancy kind of like accelerated their relationship curve. So, due to some circumstances, Win is forced to have to live with Bo. Bo is like, I really want to step up. I'm gonna be a dad. I'm not gonna be an absent dad. So I'm gonna be here for my child. So they live together and they actually work actively on trying to know themselves, but they do have some kind of boundaries to say, yeah, we're just trying to get to know each other. It's not like, we're romantically involved. But I think you could see that Bo really wanted to get with Win from the beginning, but she was a little hesitant, and I do agree because she had a past relationship that probably wasn't, it didn't have a good outcome. But also, she just wanted to be cautious. And for the first time, I completely agreed with her. I'm like, yeah, babe, you do you, whatever makes you feel safe. And I think Win is a classic example of not letting your emotions rule you all the time. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I felt like she really did take her time and make sure to protect herself from all areas and all angles before she actually, believed that Bo really loved her for who she was, regardless of the circumstance. So, and Bo, on the other hand, was just someone that was steady. He was a rock. And, I especially loved his relationship with his dad. You could just see why he came out the way he is, despite some trauma from his childhood that was really, really bad. So, I really like his dad was such a strong figure for him. He also went through some medical crisis and issues. So these are not people that by any chance have, just coasted through life. They've had to go through tough, tough situations. And I feel like that did not impact, or that did not change who they were fundamentally. That just made them more open to making connections, especially with people that they felt like, I really like this guy, I really like this girl, and they were more open to making that connection work. They put in the effort, and you can tell. So that's one of just the reasons that I really like this book. The progression from strangers to best friends to lovers and to parents and to, married couple was just so beautiful to watch. The pace was perfect. It wasn't overdone, it wasn't underdone. I think it was just very, very good. I also, another thing I loved the most was, I love getting the epilogue. So the author sneaked in like an epilogue. She actually sneaked in two things at the back of the story where we get an epilogue that shows us 10 years later. And then we also get a POV from Bo of their wedding day. That's all I'm gonna say. But I actually I didn't cry, but I just felt so much love for fictional characters that I've never met in my life. Like I just felt so much love just, and that's one thing I have against a lot of romance authors, even movies, not just the books, is we watch or read so much about how they're trying to get together and trying to say, okay, now we're finally together. And literally it's like full stop. They got together and the end. Like, give me more. So I think it was a very smart decision for Hannah to put those two, like chapters there where we saw stuff that happened 10 years later, so your imagination is not wrong and like, oh my god, this happened, oh my, you guys. So it was a cute story, comfort story. Like when you say cozy fantasy, this was cozy romance at its finest. Like it was just beautifully done. There was conflict, there was stuff, but it was just so good. So I really liked getting those POVs. I loved getting the wedding POV. I was just like, oh god, I was in heaven reading those two books, those two chapters. One last thing, I also loved Win and Sarah's relationship. I felt like this was, it's really hard as an adult, right? I think it's hard to keep friendships or to have authentic, genuine friendships, right? You can be doing all you think, like you're like, oh yeah, I'm super nice, I care about my friends, but you really don't know how the person cares about you or thinks about you. Like you wouldn't know. And that's why they say action speaks louder than words. And I feel like Sarah was someone that always had her girls back. Like she was a girl's girl, but for Win. Like she went hard for Win. It was just, it's rare to have, such relationship where two girls are best friends despite, they're not sisters or anything, because even sisters fight and hate each other. So I really liked that aspect. There was no jealousy, just people rooting for each other that had love for each other. And that was the best friend trope done very well. Again, so many tropes, but done really well. And that's why I will be picking up the next book in the series, which is Out of the Woods, where we follow Sarah's own relationship, which is kind of like a twist because Sarah's already married, but we're not following them from when they got married. We're following them as a married couple having issues. So I think that's brilliant because that's something that hasn't really been talked about. We always talk about the romance, but we don't talk about like the the years in between where, things are probably not going the way it should, So I'm looking forward to reading that. I haven't picked it up yet, but I probably will before, the end of summer, or God knows whenever I get a breather from all of these books on my TBR. But whew, that was a lot. But that was my top two recommendations for a summer read. If you like flirty, if you like comfort, cozy romance at its finest, books that are easily consumable. They're not big books. They're like 300, less than 400 pages, so you can pick it up and however you like. And if you like, the tropes that I mentioned in the books, yeah, feel free to pick them up, because I think that these two books they definitely made my reading. I think I read them in June. They definitely made my reading very, very interesting, and I think I fell in love with books all over again just by reading these two books. So yeah, let me know if you've read Out on a Limb or PSR. PSR just came out in 2025, while Out on a Limb came out a while back, maybe 2022, thereabouts, because the author, I think she started writing during COVID, so it probably came out maybe 2 years or whatever later. But it's not what I'm trying to say, it's not a recent book, but it's been out for a while, and I know a lot of people have read the books. But yeah, let me know if you've read them, if you like them, what were your thoughts? And yeah, just please like, share, subscribe. And thank you so much for hanging with me, for rocking with me. And I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you and have a lovely day. Bye.